I'm trying to show you as much as possible on one screen, quite large. I've got my reference photo, as you can see, really close. That's a good idea. Just regular printer paper. That's going to be my mixing area. The pans off screen to the right. And I'm just going to be mixing here. And I'm going to be testing my colours on a strip of paper, which has to be the same colour as the paper you're using, otherwise this doesn't work. So let's make a start. I'll just put a bit of brown on there. I'll say a few colours, but I'm not going to go through all the colours as I'm picking them up. So that's burnt sienna shade, and I'm going to lighten that with either a little white or some burnt sienna tint. Now tint means the so if we've got burnt sienna shade, that means it's burnt sienna with a little, so this is burnt sienna. Burnt sienna shade means it's that with a little black. Burnt sienna tint means it's that burnt sienna with some white added to it. And that's a way to have a wide array of pan pastels without spending a lot. So you don't really need this and you don't need that. To get this, you use the burnt sienna plus white, a lot of white, as you can see. To get that, you use the burnt sienna plus black. So if you've got these main colours, the ones that don't say tint or shade, then you can get all these variants by adding white or black, and I'll show you that in another one of my videos. So let's get going. So I'll add some light to that, and let's see what colour that produces. Now this is kind of what I'm after, because I want to try and get something that's light to set the scene, so to speak. So let's add a little white in with that as well and see what happens. I want to be able to get something in that's really light, and I want to be able to get something in that's dark, so these stripes are kind of the dark. That's close now. Then when I apply the pans, I know that this is not going to be too far off. It's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. Especially at this stage, it doesn't need to be perfect. Then I can make little adjustments. So if I think, add a bit more pinky colour in there. And then more white for under the eye. You see, this is just the starting building blocks. There's nothing more than that. We are absolutely not after any perfection at this stage. Doesn't need to be perfect. These pans, if you're not putting a lot of pastel down, which you don't want to be at the early stages, you want to be putting as little as possible on there to give us the effect. If you're not putting too much down, we can keep building layer upon layer upon layer. That means we can refine each layer, and it's not a mistake when we excuse me, go in doing the underlayer and it's not perfect. It's not a mistake, so we're not fixing mistakes all the time, but we are refining and creating more accuracy. If you want to call it fixing your mistakes, call it fixing your mistakes, but really we're just refining the underlayer. It's quite light around that edge there as well. Then it's going to be, so always think underlayers are just creating a map for us. Okay, right, so all here is much richer in colour. So let's start a new pile up here, and we start off, or I am, with the burnt sienna shade. Let's see what that looks like on its own on brown paper. So you can see it needs to go pinker, so I'm going to put some red iron oxide tint in there. Let's see what that does. Oh, now that's closer. I was after this, but what I've actually got is really close to that. Let's put a little bit more of those two together to make it slightly darker and see what that gives me. Right, that's pretty close for down here. Rub that there. Do not expect PanPastels, the tools, to last ages. They don't. Let's closer up here. Look now, I can go over the black dots, and because PanPastels are not completely opaque, they don't disappear. I can see through the PanPastels. I can still see where the spots are. They go a little bit more muted, obviously, because we've got some pastel on top. But PanPastels is not completely opaque, as I said, and I'm using that to my advantage. I don't want those areas to disappear. Now, keep checking your colours. If you move into a different area, check it again. That's not too far off again. Take your time when you're doing it. I've been doing this quite a long time now, almost 8 years with just pans, and a lot longer with oils. The theory of tonal values is the same whether we're using pans, pastels, coloured pencils, oils. It's always the same. So that means if you're used to things like oils or acrylics, you do something like pastels, you're taking that knowledge with you along for the ride. Okay, so that nice glowy colour there. I can subdue it if I want later, because I'm going on top with pastel pencils to create the refinement. So I could go just over the top of that. Years ago when I started with pastels, I came across this problem. I was used to using oils, and with oils I could just put my first layer down. So meaning things like the spots, I could indicate them just like this, and I could draw on top, I could paint on top, sorry, when I was using oils. When I started with pastels, I knew straight away I had a bit of a problem. If I put spots in like this, with pastels it would dirty it as I was going all over it. With pans, or I'd have to be super careful when I was going around spots if I did it that way. And I thought, I'd done a couple of drawings and I thought, I've really got to solve this problem. And I thought to myself, what if I use a paint underneath? And then I had to think which type of paint would work. And I had lots of gouache and watercolours and things that I'd tried over the years. And I tried all the different types out. And the gouache really worked well. And I knew straight away that that was going to be a big game changer. I don't know if other people used it. I didn't really find anything online. I didn't see that anyone else had really used gouache. No doubt somebody was, but I found out for myself that that was going to really help me. And so when I've got spots that's especially complicated, so you know, if you're doing something like perhaps a cheetah whole body, then the spots on that are really quite important to get right, because they really do give you the shape and form. And those were the subjects that I was finding real difficulty with. Okay, so I'm not concerned at all here that some areas will obviously need to be subdued, especially, you know, like there. I want to create this cheetah to look like a wild cheetah. I want that roughness, the ruggedness, the dirtiness that we see in. With lots of wildlife art, you're really trying to create or subdue your colours. Trying to create that bit of like dirtiness, that non-groomed look, that natural look. So what about when I'm working in areas like this? Down here, I need to add some blue into this dark. Let's see what happens there. It's a bit too much, so I can bring that back up with some brown, maybe a bit too much the other way. Okay, so that bit of blue, what I'm calling blue, but it's actually Payne's grey. That's giving me a bluey grey to work with. Just using a stick. And that's not too far off. So that comes, the shadow comes like that. Sometimes you can just dab the straight colour in there. So I just dabbed a bit of that Payne's grey straight in because I want some of that bluey grey to show up. Kind of comes up a bit more than that, doesn't it? Like that. The shadows are very often the very thing that makes a drawing look real. Okay, as we come down here, it's still dark, but it has got touches of colour in there. Okay, so let's have a look at this. More of this body. So we go more warmer colour by here. Warmer and darker. Now be careful with the pans because some colours are really powerful. So, you know, test them on your paper, a bit of scrap paper to try them out. Some colours are extremely powerful and they can carry you away and your colours will get wrong quite quickly. So out here it goes kind of that bluey, greyed out lighter colour there, but it's really dark here. So let's get some of this rich, dark around here. I won't go right to the edge, although it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I go right to the edge actually. But it's this kind of darkness that we see in here. That's what's making the highlight side look that much lighter. So it obviously needs to go darker than that. I'm adding some black to it. Bearing in mind, pastel matte is not completely opaque, remember? So we won't get that really rich dark until I come in with things like the pencils. Dark out here, quite light on that one, but then kind of bluey browny dark up here again. Same up there. That's about the darkness we see in there. It's kind of that grey blue. So let's put a few dots of that in there. That helps to enliven that shadow. Usually you'll see colours, sometimes subtle, sometimes quite vibrant, in shadow areas. So always be on the lookout for those. It can make a big difference to your work. Perfect there as well. And then we're coming up more of this creamy, bright look here. Quite creamy and bright there, and if that's that one, quite bright there as well. As I said, we'll get that more accurate with the pencils, but let's just indicate where those bits are going to live. Right, now let's punch up some of these darks. I squint at my reference photo, just looking at these. The spots, all the spots will need to be a lot bigger eventually. So that's pretty much it then for that stage. Just lighten this a little bit. It's got to go much lighter than that even. But at least I'll just indicate for me that lighting effect here, and how when this is really bright, it's going to help that cheetah come away from that background. This is helping me just assess that tonal value a bit better. If you're struggling to draw animals or to improve your art, I can share with you the techniques I've learned over 25 years so you can avoid frustration and trial and error and start to enjoy drawing and creating straight away. Hi, my name is Jason Morgan. I'm a professional artist and I would love to be your guide on your unique art journey. I've fallen in love with pastels and I'm sure you will too. There's really no other medium that has the vibrancy and colour intensity and the ability to put light over dark. That's an absolute game changer for the animal artist. Now on my channel you get immediate access to hundreds of hours of lessons and demonstrations, and you go completely at your own pace. There's absolutely no rushing in my art channel and lessons. Think of it like a video library. You pick the video you like, something that really takes your fancy, and you take as long as you want to complete it. Or alternatively, you can watch my videos, learn the techniques, and apply them to the subjects that really inspire you. And you also get new reference photos each month. They're copyright free. You can use them in your art, sell your art, no worries whatsoever. Many of my artists came to me with little to no art ability whatsoever, and they're truly amazed with what they're now creating. You could be doing that as well. Now don't think age is a problem. You're really never too old to start learning and enjoying art, and many of my students are 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 years of age. Now my channel is about much more than lessons and techniques. You also get access to my secret private Facebook group, and that's full of members that's literally grown up with my channel. They're super supportive and kind. They come from all over the world. So if you've got any questions, you can rest assured there's going to be someone there really quick with a solution to your problems. Now, with my channel, you're not tied into any contract. You can literally come and go as you please. You can go up tiers, you can go down tiers, whatever you want. And there's a tier and a price to suit literally any pocket. Now, I've been doing art lessons for many years, and I really pride myself on trying to create the absolute best lessons and demonstrations I possibly can. I really hope to see you there soon so you can start your art journey, and I can't wait to see what you can achieve.